is David, and I'm chairing the meeting, and I like transit.
My name is Randy, and I'm the manager of cottages and other stuff in Arlington, and I really support public transportation.
My name is Joel. I'm a programmer and a student at UTA, and I support transportation.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I'm coming from the bike shop, bike coordinator on campus. I also work for the Office of Sustainability here. We do all the green projects, so we're really looking forward to using UTA as like a conductor for this project.
My name is Joe, and I work with Ellie at the bike shop. I live here in Arlington. I've been living here for about 10 years now. I started going to UTA and then I stopped going. I'm all for transit too, so that's why I'm here.
My name is Robert. I moved here in August to go to graduate school, and I knew there was no public transit here, but it really hit home when my car broke down. So.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it does.
And I'm Jared. We live just on the east side of Fort Worth, so it would also affect us, which is why we're here.
My name's Annette.
My name's Arthur, and I like buses.
My name's Shalise. I'm a student here, and I have no car, so I walk everywhere, and having mass transit would help.
Harriet Irby, 95, MA, Political Science, UTA. I go to San Francisco twice a year, and it's wonderful.
Lindsay, I'm just covering the meeting.
I'm Kim Phil, North Arlington City Council candidate. I'm for mass transportation. I'm a 95 alumni, business administration.
I'm Lynn. I'm with United Way Arlington, and I'm also a grad student at UTA.
I'm Carrie, I'm native Arlingtonian, I guess. I went to school in Austin, though, and I love the buses there. So coming back here, I'd really like for Arlington to have public transportation.
Phil, I'm a student here. I'm also with David and the Will, and I like transportation.
I'm Jeremy. I am a graduate of UTA, and now I'm staff at UTA. I'm not here in any even remotely official capacity, and I like transit. My folks live in New York City, and I'm spoiled when I go visit them. It's really awesome.
My name is Ben. I've lived here in Arlington my whole life. Nice to see some changes.
My name is Jensen. I've lived in Arlington most of my life, and I went to public transit because it's the best thing for the city in terms of environment, traffic, money, safety, everything.
I'm Andrew. I was a member of Arlington Socialists here at UTA, and we first started talking about starting a campaign like this probably like 2 years ago. With the help of Ellie, she helped kind of just give us a kick in the ass. Now that's why we're here today. So this is our second meeting now, and thanks for everybody for coming out.
We were shooting for before November elections to have all the petitions done.
And then spend the remaining 6 months until the actual election working on winning that election. And I recall last time Mayor Cluck was re-elected, there were 10,000 people who voted for the mayor. If we could get 5,000 people, half the people who signed our petition come out to May election vote in favor for it, it's got a pretty good chance. So it's doable.
Well, I think that both the goal and the sort of shorter term idea for having a plan, makes a lot of sense. I'm wondering about the history of the referendum. In the past, it seems like the city council is hidden behind the fact that voters voted against it, rather than coming out for it. I guess my question is, should this be the only strategy for winning public transport? I would like to see all the members of city council have to take a stand for or against public transit. So far, they've hidden behind the voters at every turn. And I think it's important to make them take a stand one way or the other publicly.
We'll be researching, we'll be looking at the past attempts, how they failed, what the numbers were on the vote. But in general, we all agreed that the things we voted against were don't spend money on that, fix the streets instead. Or don't spend money on that, concentrate on stopping drunk drivers instead. Or if we have buses, it will let the wrong element into the town.
That we intersect with public planners and others who have already come up with plans, not expect it, or even get this or other universities that have a department of public planning to get on board with the shovel-ready plan.
Well, actually, we're planning on incorporating UTA planning. We would say we can have a shovel-ready plan, so all we really do when we present it to the council is less work for them. They don't have to hire a team, and it's from the university. Hopefully, it'll be integrated as well.
There are other agencies that are doing transportation planning there are other groups working on this that we need to network on. We need to look at money, bonds versus grants.
The candidates actually said that they're in favor of public transportation for a private funded entity. They didn't want the city to take on any of that responsibility or the taxpayers. So they would say if it's financially feasible, then they should go for it.
I've got the solution, and it can be done as a public-private situation without much money from the city.
That is, yeah, what do we want to call ourselves? Like,
I would avoid the word sustainable.
Why is that?
If you were part of any of the hearings for the bike plans, some people go like full retard when they hear the word sustainable. Way off. You know,
I want to throw out the green rod.
Greens are red.
What about something really simple like Arlington for Public Transit? It's not organizational form per se. I mean, I'm not against saying that there should be a 501c3, C4 situation for, you know, research on one side and action on the other or something like that. But I think what really speaks more than anything is social organization. If we can go to the city council with 100 people instead of 1 or 2 people the last time that I went there, you know, it makes a bigger impact. If we can see what the vested interests of those city council people are and are willing to disrupt those to get what we want, then they're going to start listening to us. I think that all social change in history really comes about due to social organization. And so I think really what we need to do is to build this group bigger and be able to do all forms of organization, from lobbying to get out the vote, but also to direct action if it comes to that.
Yeah. And when you start talking about that, you're starting to talk about pretty good organization, you're talking about money, and that's why you start talking about things like limited partnerships or an S Corp or a C Corp, something like that, that you can have the money structured, people have control over it, you have a bank account, all that kind of stuff.
You've got to have a structure that can perform various tasks. And what you need are definitely committees to build the social organization. And yeah, you need to do some paperwork.
I think that for the time being, we should just focus on this group as a social group, an advocacy group, and we can have a committee, like you said, to investigate how we can accept donations.
Yeah, well, but also build a monetary presence, because we are a capitalist society, folks. But we can do a committee and initiate our committees and get them working and give them their own time block in meetings. Getting 9,000 signatures out of this bunch, that's tough, guys.
yeah, we're going to have to innovate ways to get the word out there. Because I know there are people out there like us that would like transit, but they, for instance, they don't even know about this group. We're going to have to figure out how to trickle down that information and get that word out there and then become cohesive, you know, because this is about the
Trickle down.
Ooh. You know, I mean, I'm not talking about economics here.
I think we should go over committees. We have fundraising, which will also include treasury, and Ellie, Kim Field, and Jens have signed up for that. There's permits and paperwork. Networking would be outreach. Marketing, signs, and our message. Petitioning and canvassing. UTA planning, so maybe that could be linked in with networking as well. Okay, so we have fundraising, networking, marketing, permits, petitioning, and UTA planning.
I've got Robert and then Chili's.
One of the things I ran into before when I did a referendum is there was a time window. So it only allowed you to start petitioning at a certain time and you had to stop at a certain time.
I was just going to say, with the networking committee, I'll probably be able to help out with that, especially since the AS is planning on being on campus and we're going to be involved in the involvement fair on campus during the summer. So there's a good opportunity to talk to a lot of parents and things that they actually live in Arlington, and some of the people that are going to be attending school that actually live in Arlington that are going to be here for the first time, and they might be willing to help out.
Lynn?
Lynn?
Who's a UTA student? Okay.
Anthea Mean started it.
What was her name again?
Anthea Mean.
Okay.
Should be.
And yeah, and that's what, like we should all
That's
be
a
on the
network.
same page.
That's part of, that would be attached for networking outreach.
And what he was saying about as far as us being a 501c3 or 501c4, definitely we can only be, 501c4 because we are affecting legislation. And with that, if we're gonna have anyone who's doing fundraising and getting money and stuff, we would have to, we can't just start soliciting money unless we're under the title of a 501c4. On a financial standpoint, it's going to take a while to even apply to be a 501c4. We can't even be a 501c3 because,
Well, you can divide, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just saying you divide what you do. So the C3 is only the advocacy and education, it's only the education, whereas the C4 is the sort of advocacy. And so it's a classic sort of divide where you make sure that the C3 only does education on the issue. And
But
the
we're still
C4
under one entity. And I guess from a legal standpoint, I have worked for a 501c4, and I'm now currently under, United Way, which is, 501c3, who, we do, as far as I know, is what is all the red tape that we have to go through, how, agencies or nonprofits have to apply, what they have to do, and I also have, experience as far as like grant writing and getting money. Like I've done the whole canvassing, fundraising, community organizer, professionally, sort of, what I do for under United Way. Fundraising would be out of the question for now.
Are these sort of questions like about the exact legal nature of this group? Would that be something that we would have a specific committee address? Some questions, should we establish like a legal?
He thought maybe by the time they started collecting signatures there was a limit. Well, Chris Dobson, he said that we're not under a time constraint. Only when we turn in those signatures to the council, then we got to get the vote out by that next election.
These canvassing and petitioning committees should be combined.
The committees doing their own research, I think that's a good idea, but I think you need a research committee that looks at the big picture, the history of this issue, also what these other entities are doing, because it's like we are part of a political network, and what we ultimately decide to do may be based on something some plutocrat has already, is fixed to bring down on us, and hasn't sprung it yet. I've been talking to my daughter in Austin. They're a good source of information about grants, agencies, regional groupings that are working on this issue. We're not alone. I think we need a history, probably / program committee, so we can get people in here to talk about what's really happening. And you also have to look at your money and the freeze up of federal money in the pipeline and the bond market. There's all sorts of variables going on with this issue, and you need an overall committee.
My question is, I didn't hear any of your committee names tied to what kind of transit you actually are going to be backing. Have you done anything on that? Is there a committee for it? Is there a research group that's going to be doing this? I've been part of this concept of energy problems, transportation problems, about 30 years. Most of the time I spent it as a software engineer building communication systems. But for about the last 8 years, I've been paying attention to what is the new technology that's becoming available. One of the biggest problems is that most of the transit systems that you have out there now are not going to be functional in about 3 to 5 years. If you got anything that's based upon oil is going to become too expensive to burn in about 3 years. So you're going to have an integrated system of transportation. Right now, we got a transportation system that's based upon oil. It's not sustainable. Do you have a committee that's actually working on the technology and integration of energy and transportation that this whole organization, I'm assuming, is trying to back?
I've seen groups that operate both under 501c3 and 501c4, so I think that if possible we should try to aim for both, so that way we can be both a political PAC and an educational group that lets people know this is why you should have bus systems, this is why you should have light rail and associated transportation systems, and what benefits it bring to Arlington.